listen, right off the bat, I'm gonna say the movie is great. It does a good job at adapting the core story of the book. Deserves a part two, but there are some things that are changed that I really want to talk about. Hey, how you doing, Nerd fam? This is your boy Gashawn. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, I'm going to be going over the movie Dune. Now, obviously, this is a brand new movie. It's come out on HBO Max and in theaters. There was obviously already a Dune film and a mini series and tons of books for which this is adapted off of by Frank Herbert. Now, I will say to you, I'll preface my thoughts that I'm about to give you on the fact that science fiction in a whole, that whole genre means quite a bit to me because my stepfather, my late stepfather now, actually put me on to so many science fiction films. There was us watching Sci-Fi Channel and watching old VHSs. So this particular series means quite a bit to me because he gave me the book and gave me all the material that has to do with this. So when I heard this film was coming out and saw the images of, Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya and everybody being in there, I was like, it made me feel something very, very nostalgic. And I was like, I really wanted to see this film do well. I really want to do well, especially for the science. I love the science fiction genre, right? With all that being said, this movie actually does a very good job at adapting the core storyline. And I believe, I'm probably saying this name wrong, Denis Villeneuve, he did a good job at trying to simplify an 800-page book into 2 hours and 43 minutes, and just trying to give you like the bare bones, not really bare bones, but like try to give a story that's easy to digest within that amount of time, because obviously you don't want to sit there for over 3 hours, and maybe you do, but he did a very good job of trying to do that. Visually, it was striking, especially showing some of like the Bene Gesserit fighting, the weirding way. There were some really cool things they did here, and I like that they tried to give these characters enough of an introduction for you to at least know, okay, this person is this is their purpose. Now, with that being said, obviously the first Dune movie was not very good. The miniseries on Sci-Fi, which obviously spanned a bit of time, had some more time to really go into not just Dune, but Children of Dune and stuff like that, and like, preluding God Emperor Doom, which are never actually adapted. But they had more time to be able to flesh out certain things here, and obviously the miniseries did much better than the original movie. So this had like a mixed bag of things to really lead up to, but I believe it did a good job, and it needs to get a part two to flesh some more things out. Now, there are some key changes in this movie though that I do want to discuss. One of them, first one being like Duncan, Idaho, which I know a lot of people are like, damn, that name is just crazy. It's like Hannah Montana. All right, I saw that. Somebody put that up, which is actually pretty funny. So they had him with the Fremen, which is something that happens in a book, but he literally has like dual allegiances in the book. It's not like he just hung out with them and then now he's kind of cool with them. Like, he literally like shares their culture and everything. And Stilgar, who is played by Javier Bardem, is someone who actually really respects Duncan and accepts him as one of his own as well. And that really wasn't played enough. And even the way Jason Momoa played Duncan was honestly a lot like how he plays Aquaman, a lot of his other characters. And I wish there was a little bit more complexity in his character. And Duncan is somebody who literally does not disappear. So even though you saw his death here, kind of, semi-spoilery here, and I'll have like my editor put, even before I start speaking here, there's some semi-spoilers for some future stuff. He comes back like several times for thousands of years. It would require his character to be pretty complex, and it can't just be like, really masterful, strong fighter dude, which is what a lot of who Jason Momoa plays, right? Besides that, there's also the Mentats, or like the human machines. If you saw that old guy that was talking to Paul when he was like, oh, I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna resign, when he saw Paul was about to get killed, and even the dude that was advising Baron Harkonnen, those are pretty much really, really advanced AI. And that's something that's very, very embedded in the Dune novels. They tell you about that, but you would never know that unless you read the books. That these are literally just really, really advanced AI. They're not actually living beings at all in terms of being like humans, right? Also, Duke Leto, Paul's father, and Paul, when the whole attack happened, which does happen in the book, obviously, like they were more aware that it was gonna happen in the book, and they were like planning, and they weren't just like, they were like sitting ducks really in this, which, it is what it is. Like the whole point is the attack happened and they were the traitor. So the core things were right about that, but they were characterized a little bit strangely in here. And I guess they thought it was gonna make it more human. They wanted more emotional beats, but you still could have got that even by showing that, Duke Leto was very smart and, they just outplayed him versus him just being super unsuspecting, right? Because that wasn't who he was. He was a strategist, and he was always teaching Paul, like, we got to maneuver these people, because they already knew the Harkonnens were coming after them. But in this, they were like, oh my gosh, this is happening? Like, no. Another one. Now, this is kind of strange to me. Liet Kynes, who has been portrayed 2 different times as, like, a white dude in 2 different things, and he's also described as that in the book. They, like, gender and race swapped them, right? Now, I wanted to, get my ducks in a row here and see, like, if the director actually, like, mentioned why they did that. Because I didn't understand the change for it. And they said, oh, it seemed like a natural fit, what did he say? He said that it doesn't change the character, which in the core, what they did in the movie, it didn't really, except for one other core thing they decided not to put in there. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But they said something about it would be closer to real world. But I'm like, how does making her black and a woman make it closer to real world on a planet that doesn't actually exist? She's like an imperial planetologist. It didn't make any sense. And it's not like women in this series don't have a pronounced role. The Bene Gesserit, Jessica, Princess Irulan, who's not even in the movie yet, from House Carino, so she's coming. The daughter that she's pregnant with, Alia, Ghanima. There are so many women, like powerful women that are coming in this series. So you didn't have to terraform a male character to that. You didn't, right? It was literally for no reason. And also, this character is supposed to be the parent of Zendaya's character, Shani. But that connection is not even made. But in the books, immediately that character is Shani's, in the book it's a father. So in this it should be the mother. So maybe they'll say that in part 2. But it's weird because in the book they literally they let you know right there that is her father. And obviously her mom was killed. I think her name was like Farula or something like that. Her mom was killed out there. Instead, they say, oh, your the father, your lover was a warrior. Paul was talking about that to her. He said he saw the vision or whatever like that. But whatever. It's just implied. Everything's implied versus when they actually tell you. And I didn't mention like Princess Irulan. She's not in here. But once again, that's something who's very important to House Carino. And semi-spoiler, again, I believe Paul, he's going to be the one, he's going to wind up marrying her, even though it's going to be kind of like an arranged thing, like kind of like a farce marriage, but she's coming. So there are tons of women who are coming later. So I didn't understand the gender / race swap thing. And also, in terms of culture, because someone said, hey, it would make sense, but it's like, technically, everyone that's Fremen was based off of like Bedouin culture, so that makes them kind of Arab. So if we're going on like the representation base, which is what a lot of people were saying about that, then wouldn't it make sense to make them the group of people for which the director actually said they were based off of? Food for thought if we're going there. But otherwise, the story is still going in the direction which it came from. And it's not like they made her skin color play into the story. And that's very good. I'm glad they didn't do that. I give them credit for that. It was just a character. She was a planetologist. She still had that like dual allegiance thing. The core was there. That's fine. Besides that, the Baron didn't say much. He's a very talkative person. He's kind of like a sexual predator for young boys in the book. And they wanted to omit that, I guess. I guess they thought that wasn't tasteful. But it's what it is. The character itself, he's not tasteful. He is creepy. So I'm wondering, it would have made him even more sinister. And he was creepy looking already. But imagine that character being like weird towards that. I mean, it would have made him disgusting even more. And even Batista's character, he was even really talkative in the book, but not so much here. So it's kind of toned down the Harkonnens. I'm wondering if they're gonna tone them up in part 2, but like just kind of like minimize them. And I'm not really sure why that happened either, but they still play the same role, but just muted. And that was kind of strange to me. But overall, the movie did what it did. I want to see a part 2, 3, 4, whatever. Actually, upon watching the things they changed, and it made me wonder if because they were trying to shrink things, maybe this should have been done as just a series anyway. Maybe this should have been done as an HBO Max series, like almost like a brand new version of what Sci-Fi did, with a better budget and a better understanding. So I think that would have been better for me, but this still wasn't bad, and I still appreciate it for what it is, and I hope that they still keep going well within the box office and all that. Let me know what you think. Did you watch Dune? Have you watched any of the past stuff? What you think about it? Are you into science fiction? Let's talk in the comments, and yeah, into the nerd.